Hey guys, new video here. I realized that in Harvest League, when we had the Autobomber, I never made a video about it because I was too busy playing, and that was really fun. So this will be a refresher. If you played this Autobomber in Harvest, you kind of know exactly what it is. Luckily, it's exactly the same. Well, not exactly the same. It's better because there's elevated mods. The gear is better. There's way more juice on the tree. On the Atlas is way more fun, way more things to do. And there is it's kind of carved out, I think, a niche for, kind of having specialized characters. And I'll describe as I'm playing a map. As always, we do the map first, and I'll explain kind of everything with these videos. Nowadays, with gear and cluster jewels, especially, and all the new stuff that we have, there's always something that you might want to tweak or something you might want to change. And when I describe things, it's kind of like for my personal preferences, and there's always probably gonna be something better, right? So don't be afraid to experiment and change things up, because I've been changing this like every day. In fact, there's been days when I swapped out like 2 or more skill gems or support gems on all of the pieces, and swapped out entire sets of large and medium cluster jewels to try out different things, and different regular jewels as well. So let's get into it. I'm going to showcase this juicer map here. It's just a normal iceberg map, no delirium or anything. This build is really good at clearing things and getting a very focused set of things done, such as getting master mission farms done, right? Like getting a lot of albas that are like, harvest done at once. It actually kind of struggles with any kind of delirium, because not because of the power of the build, but because of the lag. And whenever anything like lags you out or like desyncs you, any kind of immunity mobs or immunity shrines will be a huge nightmare for you. So let me get into this map here. We're gonna use a Harbinger, a Legion, a Breach, just so I can show you how it kind of plays in these different types of content. So you can kind of see the play style and what the feel is of the damage going out, as well as we can run one more here. We'll be good here. I already have Metamorph, I think, on a Sextant, so we can do I guess I guess Parandus, right? Because Parandus mobs I think are like immune to elemental elements and stuff. So let's go ahead and do this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run Beyond again. I'm going to pop in an Alba, because like the iceberg zone is really, really good for Albas. And yeah, let's just go. I think that prophecy just procced. So this build has been really fun. If you're someone who doesn't like to press that many buttons, you actually don't have to on this build. So the active skill gems, right, that you press, your Herald of Thunder is always on. Your Aspect of the Spoder is kind of like an aura, even though it's not classified as an aura. It's always on. You're going to right click to use your Storm Brand, right? You're obviously going to press your Flask. And then I'm going to press E for my Orb of Storms, right? We have a Conquer proc here. Let's just lay this down. And let's say I don't press buttons, right? So the Herald of Thunder relies, you see, like this is what's scary. The lag and stuff caused by immunity mobs can be quite difficult for this build, even though it's so strong. So if you're not pressing buttons, what you need to do is you need to kill a shocked enemy in order for your Herald of Thunder to strike, right? So this is me. Maybe if I change my MTX here, I don't know if the Stygian Herald, you can see that well. It's like a blue lightning right there. You see that? I guess it kills the monster so fast with the Exploding Chest. And Exploding Chest is your main source of damage that you can't, it's hard to see, right? But that's the lightning strike, and it's kind of like hitting the mobs really fast. See, I'm not even doing anything. I'm just standing here, and I have Shroudy, so I'm teleporting around, right? If you're someone who doesn't really like header builds, or these kinds of just like passive, destroy the entire screen, farm up one particular thing, I don't think you'll like the build too much. But for those that don't want to press too many buttons, or don't feel like they want to kind of just play the game sometimes passively and really feel safe and powerful just running around like this, maybe occasionally pushing a button, if you want to, you can. So Stormbrand is for a little bit added single target. My Orb of Storms is on a 4-link with hexproof, or sorry, hex touch, which means that it applies 2 of my curses. The Awakened Hex Touch gives you additional curse, so you don't need to get another one on your gear or on the tree. I'm going to do a Alba mission here, because first it's pretty fun, and I have the, oh wait, this one isn't actually attached, so I can't get the gem room, so I guess I'll just go explosive charges. So I get the Herald of Thunder started, and I walk over, and the Explodies already killed the incursion boss, right? And this is how it plays pretty much for everything. So really strong. Like I just walk around, and the Herald of Thunder has pretty good AI, right? So it has a large range, because using an Ink AoE in here. I'm testing that out for today. Might go back for the other thing. Missing a lot of trades here, but that's okay. So that was like the temple, pretty easy, lots of time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go around here and I'm going to show you this Legion real quick. Because how does it perform against Legion? It's pretty good. As you know, if you've used any kind of explodey, any true fizz explodey, not like pseudo fizz, like the acid snatch gloves or anything that requires more than just a kill condition to proc, right? Because I kind of missed some stuff here. I don't know what exactly I missed. Oh, there we go. And see, everything is dead. I walk through. I'm walking through really slowly here, so you can see kind of the lightning strikes and stuff, and how it works. Because Herald of Thunder with Lone Messenger, you know, it's just so strong, right? The single target, when you think about the old auto bombers that just had Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder in things like Coming Calamity or other methods, it didn't really have the single target necessary. Like, it could obviously clear mobs really well. I have some very, very old videos of me clearing Strand with like shield charge auto bomber. I'm just gonna do this whole temple so I can kind of just like chill and talk to you guys about the build while I'm picking up some things. Right, there's a strong box I can see here. Make sure you stand if you see like caustic or like, you know, explode or detonate. Actually, detonate's not that scary because when you have an exploded chest, monster corpses are deleted. This one's full of armor or poisonous plants. This temple's kind of scuffed, so I cast my Stormman once and that's about it. When it comes to the Righteous Fire, you pop that for single target, so usually that's used on Conquerors or Cyrus or something like that, if you can even get it during Cyrus, but definitely for Conquerors to give yourself a huge more multiplier to things like your Stormbrand. Okay, and this one looks like it's done. All the monsters are dead. Sometimes the exploding and the chaining radius, because the Herald of Thunder hits so fast in so many different directions, you be like kind of shocked. You gotta put on your Fairgrace tricorn because you might be shocked as
good job
as to how far this thing can actually chain, right? It's kind of crazy. I'm gonna do the ritual. I don't know about you guys, I really like ritual, right? This one is, so Orb of Storms, once again, that little circle on the ground, curses everything in range, right? It has curse on hit, applying the conductivity and the Ellie weakness. And I think I missed some rituals because I was like talking and stuff, but see, that's my Orb of Storms proc. So you can proc it either with right-clicking Stormbrand or with Orb of Storms. Now, if you right-click your Stormbrand, remember that Stormbrand stays on the ground for a few seconds. So you can always, like, if something's chasing you, just really gotta go. Like, let's say something's chasing you across this bridge, but you don't want to like backtrack. You just put out Stormbrand and it'll kill it as it moves near. The brand attachment won't be anything near what you're used to if you're using some grand design stuff, where, you know, you might be playing a real Stormbrand build, which is also a very good build, where you know, it can attach from far away, but it's reasonable, right? So you set things down like where you think it might appear. For Harvest, this is kind of funny because actually I'm gonna wait for my buffs to disappear so that you guys can I can show you guys something real quick with the, you know, when all the buffs drop and, like, let's say you don't have a head on or anything like that, you can still kill things really well. What was I saying before? I kind of lost my train of thought because I'm kind of trying to play this map and everything. But let's go with that. So when you drop the Stormbrand, since it stays on the ground, for things like that are stationary, for example, breaches, Harvest especially, you know, you can put down a that's an Abixoth. You see that big burst right there indicates that an Abixoth, which is like the big boy Beyond boss, has spawned, and he kind of got one shot by like the Fizz Explodey from the mob that spawned with him, and of course the Herald of Thunder just does a lot of damage. Pretty funny stuff there. And let's see, we got this tier 3 temple here.
good job.
So very passive, but let's say like this, you see this little like ring of loot from the Alba because I've taken cultural advancements, a lot of magic mobs. Let's say that this is like the patch of harvest. The general style for anything that stands still, right? So bosses, metamorph, conquer, stuff like that, is you'll drop this. You can see it lasts like actually kind of a long time, and this is your double curse setup. And then you'll drop like the storm brands, right? If it's one target like Alba's, like the conquer or something, you just drop the storm brands on top. You can have two attached because of this. I'll go over skill tree and everything after I get back to town, right? That's the place. I'll drop this, drop two of these, pop your flask, pop your VRF, and then they will die nearly instantly. And the reason that I wanted the metamorph, and you see I have no buffs, right? I don't have full charges, I don't have full frenzies for the badge action, which means my defenses are down too. But I'm going to pop this metamorph here. We're going to select the left bows. Left bows is usually the strongest, right? Where like if you went with all of these running right here, like all the white ones and blue ones, it wouldn't be very strong. So I'll just take that, even though actually I kind of want, okay, I'm going to, oh, that's currency too, never mind. And I'm going to put down my Orb of Storms, drop this twice, hit my flask, hit my VRF. I'm just going to sit here, right? And as you can see, everything is dead. With no buffs, right? That was way before he's still in the rares. So the build is really cool because if you've been playing self curse or like some build that does like the the stacking and keeping those headhunter stacks up or the inspired learning stacks up, you know that you can't just leave a map and go trade and then come back, because your character's going to die on the way back in, right? Especially the more juicy your maps are. This build, you can take a phone call, you can go back and do some trades, you can go back, oh, I forgot my incubators, you can go back to your incubators. You can always leave the map, you can always rezone into a loading screen without losing any character power, really. Because if you like Abyssal Depths, I don't know who likes that, but maybe you can do that. Maybe you see a Zaba mission and she's offering you a Cortex, she's offering you a Untainted Paradise, you want to go do that. You can do whatever you want at any time. Like, for example, like right now I see that I didn't hit the ritual altar, right? So what I can do is I can go back here and I can go find it, and the desync with the dash is used just to clear green vines, right? It's used to clear green vines on you when it slows you down. That's literally the only purpose. I mean, sometimes you can dash across a gap, but usually just to get me back to full movement speed. You can also use Withering Step and stuff like that if you want to try it out. I tried it out. I just kind of like the setup here. And let's look at our rewards. Oh, an Exalti. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Now I don't have enough to... Well, I guess I could defer. I could reroll even though it's kind of tight. And I'll do that. And look at... Oh, a notable. Oh, that is definitely notable right there. Tabby too. What's this? Oh, fire damage over time. Passive on eye level 83. I think that one sells pretty well. I think this one's better, right? I kind of want this though, so I'll defer that. So you can see, like, I can go back and it's no problem whatsoever to come back and get like anything that you missed, right? If you need to backtrack with mobs remaining, that is totally fine as well. Okay, so that's kind of playstyle on any map. Once again, I wouldn't recommend this for the higher delis. Like 20% and 40% are fine, but it is so laggy. I don't know what it is about the build, but something about the build and the interaction with Dillian makes it like incredibly laggy. And I have a pretty good PC, you can like scroll below my Twitch stream to see my PC parts. It's not bad. And there's some kind of stutter, a lot of desync with the dash, and because Hair of the Thunder hits so fast and there's so much crap going on, so many like ailments being applied, you actually sometimes struggle with the desync into packs that would kill you in the two situations I described before: immunity shrines, immunity monsters that make the monsters around it immune. Because like when you go in, the Herald Thunder can't like target the one that has the aura, right? You have to do that yourself with a Stormbrand, and when things are hectic, it's hard to aim, and the Stormbrand might attach to something else because of desync. So those are situations where you will find that it is really, really tough. So let me just answer the question of what is this build good for? Because there's so much juice on the Atlas that maybe someone has boss killers, right? You kill bosses. Maybe you have a character that specifically kills Cyrus, Malvin, the Feared, stuff like that. And then maybe you have your 100% deli farmer, right? Maybe a self cursor, maybe some crazy build like that. And then what is this for? Is this kind of mid-range? Is it like, what does it do? Well, this build is actually really, really good at focus farming masters and like low investment maps with like in a really relaxing way. So you might think, wait a minute, why can't I just do it with the other characters? And you could, but they are more specialized to something else, right? Because if you take a self cursor into a mid-range map or a low investment map, you're not really getting the full fun or the advantage, right? Because the self cursor is meant to either like destroy the mid-range content where you're kind of farming the map for the drops in the map itself, or you're looking for like that full juice in the deli, right? Really, or like going like for pure level 100 and pushing as many monsters in the map so you can get all the XP, all the beyonds. It's really cool looking. Your XP shoots up really fast, but you don't want to use it in maps where you're just putting in a master mission, like the cheapest scarabs you can find, or maybe no scarabs, but just like sextants and going. So if you were to farm, let's say a couple Meta strategies right now. Number one, Hayward Hamlet with broadened watchstones. You want to farm down 100 Zabas to get those harvests. You don't want to have any issue with the harvest mobs, any loading screens coming back for trades, because if you're harvesting, you need to go to TFT and you need to sell your, if you're not streaming or anything, you need to sell your crafts, and that requires back and forth, loading into people's hideouts, people loading into your hideout. Takes a lot of downtime, right? So you need a build that can be just as strong from the moment it enters the maps to like the moment it's like all the way juiced up. And this is a build that's really good at that for farming the like the Zob missions in Hayward Hamlet, or I guess like some people do it in, I think, Proxima. Also like Alba missions, right? So if you've ever done this, you know how crazy this is, and you might want to if you're someone who skips rituals and you just want to get a map done, right? Obviously kill all the mobs, kill all the boss for the bonuses, and then of course do the Atlas missions, you can do that as well. It is so good at just getting Atlas missions done for someone in like the low investment to mid-range mapping range, where you just want to blast and turn your brain off and just chill, right? So that's what it's good for. It is I can't stress enough how much I like specialized characters. For example, my miner is used for Malvin killing and Cyrus killing. Cyrus killing, this character can do very well. If you remember Harvest, it just obliterates them. But if I'm at 93% XP, I might not want to get hit by a Fury of the Cosmos Meteor, and I'll go on that guy. So I just love. Let me do this trade real quick. I just love having characters that are specialized for particular things. And in this league with Bristol Matrons and stuff like that, you're gonna be getting a lot of master missions here, right? You will find yourself, especially if you use a watch them strategy and other things, you will find yourself. It will be very hard to run out of the master missions that you want to do. So that's what this character is good for. And of course, it is still very good for the kind of mid to high range investment where you're using 4 good scarabs, 4 sextants. The map is maybe like corrupted and all that good stuff. So that is, I've talked a little bit too long about just how the general feel and purpose of the build. And those of you that have played the Harvest version, you'll kind of pick it right up with the adjustments that we have for this league, and it is way more powerful, and I personally think way more fun. Unfortunately, there's no MTX for the explodey effect. So what that means is that it doesn't look as cool as the builds that have Herald of Ass or Herald of Ice that have those amazing Herald MTX. But I'm gonna go over skill tree first, okay? So you're gonna go Assassin, because Assassin gets base crit for anything that hits, which is very important. It has power charge action with the Badge of the Brotherhood. It's got the Mistwalker, which makes elusive. You can read what elusive does, but this gets juiced up many times because of your elusive effect. So you're kind of a slippery guy, kind of defensive, kind of fast. Feels really good to play with. And then you have things like, you can either go this for more guaranteed crits on for those big chains, on those guaranteed chains, or you can go with things like this, which is more safe and better for single target, I believe. So these are skill points with the freedom to move these 2 points into these 2 if you want. I've tried out both. I think I like this one better just because when you have a more multiplied crit chance and you have that bigger hit on a full life mob, which is, any mob's first hit is full life, right? Which means that, you're going to get those big Fizz Explodey chains, because Fizz Explodey also has base crit and all that stuff. So you kind of understand the idea there. And then this is if you ever take less damage, that's always good too. So try out these 2 for yourself. That's the Ascendancy. This is a skill tree. Skill tree is pretty flexible. Besides the clusters, I think you have to have at least somewhere you need to have a set of clusters. So if you want to go up here, you can have this one available too if you want. And we're using a staff, so we have staff nodes here and here. That's why if you don't use a staff for whatever reason, I guess you can go the other nodes, and you have a little bit of freedom on the points, because staff nodes are actually a lot of points on the tree. Next, what we have going on is we have a timeless jewel here. The Glorious Vanity is for a corrupted soul. That is the only reason it is there. You can actually have it over here if you want to go down here for whatever reason. The reason you take this is because you have multiple sources hitting usually, right? You have your Stormbrand and your Herald of Thunder. Now, your Herald of Thunder, it needs to be able to leech back, because this build is based around the Storm Secret Rings, right? Which means that the new Autobombers, what they do, I'll talk about Lone Master in a second, but when you're hitting with your Herald of Thunder, right, you're going to take 250 lightning damage. Now, this is resisted, right? So if you have high lightning res, of course you're going to have at minimum capped lightning res, unless it's like a minus max res or something like that. That might kind of hurt. Well, you are going to be taking a lot of that damage, especially if you're shocking enemies and you're killing a lot of enemies like that, and it's hitting really fast because you have 2 of these rings for 100% increased frequency of the lightning strikes. That you need to somehow regenerate that. So how do we do that? Well, there's a lot of sources of leech in this game. There's energy leech, the gem, and then you can also get leech global on the tree. You can get global leech on the boots. There's a lot of sources, and when you mix and match these, it makes it really nice, because you're always regenning both your mana, or sorry, not your mana. You are regenerating your mana, but you're regenerating your shield and your life. So when anything hits, both those things are going up. So it's good to split damage into 2 parts and be recuperating from both. That's the general idea. It makes it a lot safer, and it makes it a little bit easier to weather big hits. One small downside I'll say about this that you will notice right away when you start playing, when you're getting used to it, is that you know how like if you have, especially if you have ultra wide, but you know how like this bar of shield, energy shield, is in your peripheral vision. So if you take and because there's usually more life than ES initially, so let's say you take like a, I don't know, like a 4,000 hit, right? And so like or like, I don't know, even like a 1,000 hit, where like it goes through your life half, and then like it also goes through your it goes to your ES and everything. So what um what's gonna happen with these big hits, right? Because this is like non-challenge damage. You're gonna see, how do I explain this? You're gonna see your life drop really low, or it's gonna look like you're taking a massive like chunk on your life, and then your ES won't look like the same ratio, right? Because you'll usually like maybe you can like recover, or maybe you're like regenning or something like that. So it is deceiving when you actually might die. So like let's say there's desecrated ground, there's some big chat, like you hit a strong box, like caustic ground. Now if you guys don't know, caustic ground on a strong box, when you click it, there's an explosion first. So it's not just a degen on the ground, it explodes and hits you. So sometimes that can catch you off guard if you're like desynced or shrouded or something like that. So it's gonna look like you're about to die, but you won't notice because your shield is so high because it's blocking, and then your peripheral vision, you're gonna be like, oh, I think I'm fine, and you might die or something like that. So just be careful when you think you're gonna take hits. Just pay a little bit more attention when you're getting used to this build, because that can be very, very deceiving. But otherwise, the node is very good. Now, these things I just happen to have. I was divining this, right? Because all you need is Doriani. That is the main role. You do not care about the numbers. You don't care about anything else. Because it is just for this. So I just happened to get some really nice nodes. I got some cold res, I got a chance to dodge, and I got, look at this, 33% lightning damage. And since most of my damage is lightning with a little bit extra challenge damage, you have 3% lightning pen here. So that's awesome. Right, and this 1 point was 7% life, which is better than any, on average, better than any node on the tree that you can easily get for life, and it has some regen. So that was awesome. So I just took that, but like this is not necessary. And then over here, you put an unnatural instinct. Now, if you're wondering what unnatural instinct does, it just takes the unallocated. So, excuse me, I just choked. I'm dying. Choked on my own spit. Okay, so if you're ever wondering what a gem gives you, you can hover over the little circle here, and you can see that it gives you all this stuff in that circle, right? That's pretty amazing. It saves you a ton of points as well. So that's why I take that. This is like the best spot for it. If you read all this stuff, like it's just crazy, right? Look at that. For 2 points of a jewel slot, you can't really get any better than this. Some life here. Power charge nodes, because assassin is very power charge dependent. Once again, staff nodes. Now, these nodes right here are kind of interesting, because I took this because I didn't get a reservation helmet, which, looking in hindsight, I should have crafted a backup reservation helmet so I could test that and drop those points, because the Herald of Thunder reservation is like it's really good, right? Especially if you're using Aspect of the Spoder and you want to, it also helps in quality of life when your Aspect of the Spoder might get accidentally linked to something and increase the mana cost. But I have to take this, or else the build's kind of stressed on the mana. And then you have more like elemental and staff notes here. Here, you can save some points here if you really want. Like, I don't know if this is really like that necessary. Like, you could, drop a lot of stuff here and save points if you are extremely low level. But I was here and I looked at it and I was like, it seems pretty damn good. So this might be a point of contention for some people, but I really like it. Timeless Jewel here. Try to get a -10 with very large ring, because you are looking at these nodes here. Now, this node right here isn't necessary, right? I don't need the dex or anything, but I love movement speed. Any kind of movement speed, especially when I'm so slow. Like, look at this. This is my base movement speed before badge kicks in. All right, pretty slow. I hit my quicksilver. Yeah, so like any amount of movement speed feels super good on this build, but you can save some points here if you want. This is a defensive that you don't really need to take either. So play around with your timeless jewels. Some people even take a smaller one and they might take some stuff in here. But I found that I don't like pathing through this stuff, because like it seems kind of weird, right? I mean, this is like, it's okay, but I didn't really want to take these notes, so I took this so I can just take the rune binder. Because if you can have extra brand attached to an enemy, well, that's basically double the damage of that brand. So pretty awesome. And then what else is necessary? I mean, I pick up power charges where I can, because once again, assassin power charge is very strong. Badge of the Brotherhood relies on that. And that is the skill tree so far. With other jewels, I'll talk about clusters after this, but with other jewels, the reason I went with this, besides to shore up a little bit of my cold res, is fire damage. On this build, I would say is mandatory. You don't need much. All you really need is 1 point, right? And I mean, like, I don't mean like one skill point. I mean literally 1 point of fire damage. So if you don't know if you have fire damage, you just mouse over this, right? So you see there, you mouse over a tooltip like this, and what you're gonna notice is that fire damage like this, added to spells, makes it so that on single target, number one, you can proc your Cinder Swallow. Okay, so because we're so crit heavy and we always have crits and it hits so hard, so even if you have low crit because your gear is bad, the Cinder Swallow, what it's gonna do is it's gonna give you they take 10% damage, increased damage, right? That is a separate more modifier. So if you don't have Unnerve, then or other sources of taken damage, like maybe you're using Algor Mortis or something, so it'll be a little bit less effective, but that is a more multiplier. So how do you ignite, right? Well, you need a point of fire damage on a crit, which guarantees an ignite. Without the fire damage added on there, you can't really ignite, because like even if you have a header and you're stealing like Fizz's extra, you don't have any Fizz damage either, right? If you add Fizz damage in some other way, then you might not be able to do Fizz reflect maps, which is like kind of annoying to re-roll. So the Cinder Swallow is more benefit and way juicier. Always make sure that when you are using Cinder Swallow, that you think about, can I ignite most of the time, right? Am I able to get this extra more modifier? Because if you've ever used a Bottle of Faith or something like that, and you take the box, the enemy is on consecrated ground for a 10% more multiplier when you don't have any other more multipliers, you'll see that like the damage is pretty big, right? Because it's actually a true more multiplier and super strong. You definitely want to take advantage of those when you can. The other reason for this point of ignite, and this is actually kind of like some kind of like meta game, like bug maybe, but it's been in the game for years. And I believe for these kinds of builds, or any build where you're annoyed by immunity, it's super important, is that the way the game works is that if you run like 2.5, 3 screens away from mobs, time is frozen, right? And I believe the reason that it does this is because you can't render like everything in the map moving around, doing their animation. It'd be like even more laggy than it is now, right? So what you can see is like if you ever like stretch your game in window mode like really thin, you can see like mobs like kind of disappear, or like they're like frozen and stuff like that on like the really far edges. And it's so that the game has to load less assets when you're, and it'll only load those in or unfreeze and run the animations, run the calculations when you're getting near them. So this is important because for some reason, if you ever encounter like a divine shrine or a monster that has immunity, aura, which means every mob around it is immune, or maybe some of those totems or something, you're gonna notice that like if you ignite them and you run away, they actually die off screen. Like the aura for some reason doesn't animate, and they lose their auras when they're off screen, usually about 2 screens away. So this is super good if you see that you're gonna have an issue or huge amounts of lag with an immunity aura or divine shrine. So what you do is you go in there, right? And this is you'll know what I mean if you play a fire skill. Okay, the fire skill is pretty hilarious because you have like true ignites and stuff like that. So you go in there, you hit all the mobs, right? And the immunity mob is making everyone at 1 HP, right? All the little guys are at literally 1 HP. The bars are at 0, but you just can't kill them because the immunity. So what you do, unite them all, run away 2 screens away, come back, and they are all dead. I don't know, once again, if anyone can explain this better than I can, feel free to in comments or something. But it is a trick that I've been using for like years now, right? On any of my builds where it's getting super annoying, or I'm shrouded and it's like getting really scary, just ignite, run away, everything's cleaned up when you come back and they're all dead. So that's pretty cool there. I would highly recommend you make sure that one of your skills has some kind of fire damage so you can ignite, right? Your crit chance is high enough where you don't need chance to ignite, you don't need any extra support gems. All you really need is the ability to ignite. So you can go to the wiki if you don't know how ignite works and see that it is extremely easy to attach to any of your hey, this guy's probably playing Autobomber as well. Sounds good. Here you go. 7.2. Expensive, very expensive. Gone up in price a little bit. There you go. Thank you. So that's why I take the fire damage there. If you're wondering, it's like, because sometimes when you look at people's gear, you might not know if they are really needing that one mod or not, right? Like, it doesn't matter, especially if you're new. So this one, the life and the fire damage to spells is what's important. Talk about the cluster jewels a little bit here. And cluster jewels are cool because ever since the addition of cluster jewels, we've had so many more options, and it really adds a chance to make the build specialized or like your own in a way that like you can like kind of spend a lot more money if you want to like get the exact tweaking that you want for the utility, or like shore up resist, get more attribute. Like, there's so many cool things about cluster jewels. And for this one, the large one, there's actually a few options here. So I like Doriani's Lesson because this is one of the sources that you can just get global damage, right? This is a global leech that's not based on attacks or anything like that. It's just elemental damage, leeches life, so super good because we're all elemental damage. A little bit of extra damage added there, so pretty cool. So we leech that. I think that's kind of important because energy leech is on our both of our spells. And then Prismatic Heart, I really like this because sometimes shoring up resist can be super annoying on builds that use a lot of uniques, which this one does. So this one's just really good. 30% increased damage for a point and 30 all res. That's amazing. The next one is this. So Overshock is kind of cool. Your choices, I believe, are between this and Blast Freeze. So Overshock, I'll talk about first. This is a more single target oriented kind of thing. So you have lightning damage, which you're pretty much all lightning damage, a little bit of shouts damage. Effective lightning elements just means your shocks, and the shocks increase damage taken by up to a maximum of 60%. Makes it like a lot of time you're just going to do more damage. Just think of it that way. It's just more damage multiplier. So that's really cool. It's just got a big amount of damage to it. If you take Blast Freeze, you have to have Explodey Chest, and I would say you have to have a Headhunter, because the reason for this is the Fizz Explodey of 5% of the monster's life as extra, or you can use a 3% one. The way that works is that if you ever gain Fizz as extra from Headhunter or Inspired, that works on the Explodey. So Explodey will end up having a ton, like an absolute like shit ton of cold and lightning damage, right? Or sorry, you can't actually steal lightning. Cold and fire damage. So you're always going to be igniting and freezing with your Fizz Explodey. And your Fizz Explodey does like 99% of the clear and damage in this build, which means that you can take Blast Freeze because you have base crit added. Now, you don't have base crit added from a Watcher's Eye because Lone Messenger actually makes it so that your ores are disabled, right? And even things like Whale Grace and stuff are disabled. So what that means is that, well, how do I freeze then, right? Because I don't have like chance to freeze or anything. So well, you have base crit. So freezes and chills and stuff like that are guaranteed if you have a crit of cold damage, depending on the monster's life that it takes out. And if you are gaining cold damage from the Fizz as extra cold, you're going to have so much of it that it is never going to not chill and freeze. So if you look right here, this is 1.5% critical strike chance while at maximum power charges. This is a base value, if you don't know, which means that it is added on top. So like when you look over a skill gem and you see like 5% crit, 6% crit, that's the base crit. And then, when you get like 100% increased crit, right, or 100% reduced crit from like control destruction, it doesn't make it 0, right? It's just like because you have so much extra like increased crit, but this one is more powerful because base. So Fizz Explodey has no base crit. So if you add a base crit and you're using a Headhunter and all these like buffs and global increased crit modifiers, that is actually going to be a sizable amount of crit, and then it can benefit from crit multi as well. So super important to think about how are all my hits like crit base? Can I add crit to them? And because you can, Blast Freeze becomes a defensive option, especially in the deli. I would say that if you are running any kind of deli content, like 20% or above, you should probably use Blast Freeze as your third node on that cluster because it is just that strong, right? It is so defensive, and you'll notice that your life's a lot easier with that. Because I don't run deli, because this is just to farm maps where sometimes I don't even add scarabs, right? I just want to get something done really fast. I have chosen to go with this, but you do have an option. Okay. So another thing to note is that like the positioning of these can change depending on what your combination of three are. So be careful. It's just because something is listed third doesn't mean that it's like here. Okay. So you saw that Prismatic Heart is listed third in this list. If there's other combinations of notables, it might shift around. So just don't think you're always going to be getting the max amount of points. Okay, clusters. I guess I'll talk about this one first because this is actually the build, right? Lone Messenger is the build That is why if you're wondering like, why don't I have any auras? You just can't, right? Your aura skills are disabled. What it does is that you have one herald and it is super buffed, right? The effect on you doesn't really matter because, you know, it's just added damage to all your other spells, but it's 100% more damage with these hits. And the lightning hits on the Herald of Thunder are sizable. If you look right there, right, it's a lot of damage on the hits. That's like pre-juiced. And also what you're going to get is you are going to have like, if you have this and you have the Storm's Gift, right, it's even more because like, see, you have every single time you shock an enemy, it will create a storm. What a storm means, it's just like a lightning strike. And then when you're hitting enemies with it, when it's on for that number of seconds, it's gonna hit with 100% frequency because you have 2 rings, right? So this is the build right here: Storm Secret and Load Messenger. Maybe I should have said at the beginning of the video. So that's pretty crazy right there. You're gonna put that in there. You're gonna use that in Aspect Exploder. Talk about the gear later. And then with this one, so you have actually a couple options. Your first option is gonna be for self-fulfilling. Sorry, this isn't an option. This is the mandatory. I would say you have to have 2 of these because base crit, once again, is really important, right? You don't have like a Hatred Watcher's Eye to add 1.8 base crit. So your options are like what? Crit Gem, which is bad. Or you can get this. This is like a point, and you get 1% base crit chance, so 2% with 2 of these, and you get a little bit of multi, right? That's kind of cool. So definitely get these 2. Now the second note on here, right, and 4 and 5 passive skills are the same exact thing. Is you either have Dark Messenger or you have something called man, I can't remember what it's called. It's called like Dark Temptation or something. Let me see if I can find it here. Cluster. Is it these? It's sorry, it's called Agent of Destruction, just for some extra chance of ailments and some elemental damage while you have the Herald active. So one of them is pretty good, right? It's like if you put down your like Orb of Storms or your Storm Brand, like you're pretty much gonna have that tiny advantage on causing the ailment, which could help you in some situations, which I started with. And I was like, you know what? I find that I gain crit chance, and my crit chance is good enough that I didn't really feel like I needed that. And all I wanted was to chain my fizz further. So that's why I switched to Dark Messenger. So currently I'm using Dark Messenger as my second node on there. And AoE is so important on this build because now, what does it mean for Herald skills to have AoE, right? It might be confusing for a Herald of Thunder when you have 2 of these because you're like, okay, 25, 50% AoE. Well, it's like the striking range. So Herald of Thunder doesn't truly have any AoE. Like when the lightning bolt comes down, it's one enemy. When you clear the entire screen, like you saw in the video earlier, that is actually the Fizz Explodey, right? Just like chain around. Or maybe some of that Storm Brand. I guess if I place one down, that changes as well, coupled with the Fizz Explodey. So what's going to happen is when you can strike further, you are chaining further, right? With everything. So the Fizz Explodey can hit that little bit further to protect you, right? A monster comes in range, it's going to get hit that couple radius or 2 or 3 radius further away than it would have. And sometimes with these animations and these ranges, monsters will get hit before they can even start their like spell queues, right? So you can think of this like in, you know, like the constructs in the incursions where they have to load up and they shoot that green beam at you, or the little green projectile, right? The further away you can hit those guys, the safer, right? Because further away, the Explodey is also further away, going further. So very good here. It only applies to the Herald Lightning Strike range, but it is very good. And I have to say that it's good enough where I've even put it, I took out Lightning Pen for the Thunder, and I'm testing out Awakened Ink AoE. Now, how do you know if AoE is doing anything? Well, when you go in POB, on the left side, after you select Herald of Thunder, in the little box on the left that shows all the stats, you are looking for something called Radius, okay? So AoE Radius. I believe mine's about 51, 52 right now, so I forgot, but you can check it for yourself. POB will be in the description. You are looking for radius of when Herald of Thunder is selected, and that's the only one you care about, because Orb of Storm doesn't matter. You're using that to apply curses to a single target or to a stationary zone to control that zone. And the Storm brand itself, even though I have Conk effect and it does chain. So that I think AoE makes the build feel way more smooth to the point where I might even put in a Dying Sun if that gives me another radius. I think it will at least give me one, but I'll check it out on POB later. So AoE will make you clear faster and further, given you have the basic level of damage and the basic level of gear. This is not really a budget build. It is kind of tough to play with when you're setting it up. I built this over the course of like, I had to say 2 or 3 weeks at least, because I knew I wanted to play this, but the staff didn't exist yet because no one could craft it because they untagged the power charge without crit. So it wasn't the same number of steps, but someone did it. So that's really great. It took them a few weeks. And also, it's something that you play after you have your farming characters, right? So it's not really something for like for newer players. It might be a little bit rough until you get everything. I literally didn't put this stuff on until I had every single piece gotten together. And now some of the pieces are a lot more expensive. So don't expect it to be cheap. If you're asking like how much can I do this on a budget, I personally wouldn't, because it's, once again, this is very niche and it's for people who have kind of played it in Harvest and want to be like, is it still good? And yeah, it's a lot better because of the elevated mods. So that's kind of cluster jewels there. For these jewels, short your resist first, right? Make sure you're good, even though you have a warding flask. So you're good against Ellie weakness and other things like that. You never know what's going to happen. So just make sure you're res capped. You have some life on there, right? More life is also more ES because of the craft on the chest. And then that's about it, right? Nothing too special in the jewels here. So you can try this out. And that is basically the skill tree. I'm currently level 99. I'm about to hit level 100. I died to a volatile when I was like 99% or something. So that was kind of sad. But we'll get there later. Okay, a quick swap on this tree. So if you want, you could take out any of your rare jewels and put in a golden rule for self poison. You would need these boots with unaffected by poison, and you would have to respec these 2 points or these 2 points, whichever one you've taken, into this 40% chance of poison on hit, because you to poison you need a hit of physical or chalice damage. And since the staff gives you lightning as extra and you have Edzubi's flask, you will be able, every hit will have a 40% chance of poison. I tried this out early. I just got kind of annoyed at, if you look at my watchstones, see these are poison watchstones. They're all poison watchstones, in fact. I got annoyed by switching out the watchstones, and it wasn't very fun after a while of switching it out, because I wanted to. These watchstones are so powerful that like even losing one, I felt kind of bad. But self-poison is a thing with this build, even at 40% chance. If you really want to get a little bit more, you feel like you need more poison chance of the Noxious, you can, I guess you could try to go down here and get 10% chance and 15% chance. There's a few points here. See, it's an extra 25% chance of poison would be pretty hilarious. And then that way, when you pair the second, you're like just giga fast, right? Giga fast and extra 1,000 damage, whatever. Pretty crazy stuff. So that's one variation that I found very fun, and you can try out yourself. Okay, that's what we're going with there. Let's go over the gear real quick and why we use that. So Diamond Flask of Warding right here. Experimenters doesn't really matter, just lasts a little bit longer, but you can't so many enemies. You are always full. This trinket doesn't matter. This is for extra incubation slot. You can put an incubator on here if you didn't know. I use a Cinder's Wall urn because this is probably by far the best mapping flask you can get. Recovery means that it's instant generation. It's kind of like instant leech in a way. You killed 33 monsters, 100% of life would have been generated if you were at the brink of death. I can't tell you how many times this has saved my life in mass, where I'm about to die and there's some DJ on the ground, and then I just rush forward, kill a few mobs, and now I'm back at full ES and the other thing. Quicksilver Flask of Adrenaline to make you faster. This is a no-brainer right here for a fast build. We have it at Zubi's Prawns. The only one that matters on here is the 15% LE damage here for the extra chalice damage. Really, really good. And of course, the resist on this is, so it's damage and it's a huge amount of resist. I think it's really, really good because there's if you're in Delirium, there's like the puddles. If you're doing regular maps, there's like Desecrated Ground, there's like poisonous monsters. There's so much stuff for chalice resist is so good. So that's why you take that. And then a Bottle of Faith here for single target, right? It's huge single target damage here. But for mapping, you can swap this out for anything. Like I said, for mapping, I am going to probably swap it out for Dying Sun, just to try an extra radius on the Herald of Thunder, see how that feels. And of course, Dying Sun protects you against volatile hits, right? Less damage on the volatile hits and the corpse explosions and explodey barrels and explodey strong boxes, which are really, really scary in this game right now in the beginning of maps. So you can kind of switch this out as you see fit. Gloves. You can go Algra Mortis if you want a big more damage taken, but using Algra Mortis I think is bad because it's not very good gloves in terms of what else you can get on there for the new elevated mods. And also Algra Mortis, you need to be able to chill, right? So that means you're looking at a cast on damage taken or a self-cast cold snap or something like that, which I really don't like those setups because I'm just kind of like a simple guy. So these gloves have Culling Strike. This is elevated. It gives you Culling Strike and 25% 25% AoE if you've dealt Culling Strike recently, right? 25% is pretty big. And then the other elevated mod is the unnerve enemies from the Hunter. And if you notice, what's the difference with that? Well, the old one is 10% chance to unnerve, right? 10% chance on hit. So you hit 10 times, right? But this is just 100%. So the very first hit, they are unnerved. They're taking more damage. Unnerve is just basically intimidate for spellcasters. They just take more damage. And that's kind of crazy. So how do you craft this glove? I'll go over really quickly, and if I get anything wrong, because I'm just kind of like, this is a one take once again, anyone in chat can correct me, or anyone in the comments can correct me. I'm not live right now. What you're gonna do is you have two bases, right? It is the same as Harvest League, except for you need to elevate first. So you need to use a Malvin's Orb on one pair of gloves, right? To get the elevated Culling Strike. On the other pair of gloves, you have to elevate to get the unnerve, right? Which one you do it on doesn't really matter because you're awakening one onto another. It's a 50-50 chance with the Malvin's Orb. You're gonna get the elevated, you're gonna awaken, and then go as usual. By awakening the Culling Strike and the unnerve together with an Awakener's Orb, which we've had since Metamorph League, those two come together and you pray for no bricked. You really pray for no bricked prefix suffix. Things like mana, things like whatever untagged modifiers. Untagged means that if I press my show hotkey here, things that cannot be removed or changed in any kind of way, or pseudo kind of way, or multi-modded kind of way, or some metacrafted kind of way with Harvest or your crafting bench, right? Really scary there. But if you hit it, then if you don't get any bricked mods, then what that means is that there's no jambling afterwards that could possibly brick your item, and there's also no it guarantees a perfect item. So this item, although it looks bad, right, because I scuffed my life rolls as I was trying to harvest craft today, and the defense roll is really bad, this is still a perfect gloves because I can remove the defense or the life and get it into tier 1 life and 30% spell damage if I want, or hybrid ES and life if I want more defenses, right? So these are going to be perfect. There's no chance that they can be bricked from now on. There's no chance that they won't be perfect eventually after the harvest crafts, or if I want to go to TFT, which I don't want to do. So really great gloves there. Fingerless Silk, because I should get a commandment on this. Commandment of Reflection is the best, but Fingerless Silk because there's a 16% spell damage. That's about it. If you have like Sorcerer gloves for higher ES, that is totally fine as well. If you're gonna look at something like these boots, so these boots, the only reason I have the unaffected by poison is because I was testing out Poison Sextant. That's a prefix. You don't need that. The way that you would do this is you roll up Tailwind. Once again, same as the gloves. One base has one elevated mod, right? Tailwind. One base has something else. In this case, it was the Shaper elevated boots. This is actually pretty easy to craft. Shaper elevated boots give you 50% chance to avoid ailments. This build is 100% ailment immune once I recraft the craft on the gloves. That means when they come together, you're looking for no bricked mods, and then all you gotta do is fill out the suffixes, right? And then after you do that, it's super easy. To get unaffected by poison, you are gonna do after the suffixes are taken care of, or you have you can do like suffixes can't be changed if you want. You are going to aug Chow's modifier twice. It'll give you plus level of Chow's gems, and it will give you what is it? It's the thing before unaffected by poison. I think it's called is it unaffected by desecrated ground or something, or I forgot what it is. I totally blanked on this. I forgot what it is, but it's guaranteed 2 because if you look on Craft Exile, there's only 2 poison affixes for the hunter. So you get those 2, and then what you do is because suffixes can't be changed, you can Malvin's Orb, right? You can use Malvin, which is 7 exalts right now for a 50-50. It is deterministic, meaning that if you can get to this point, you cannot fail anymore because you'll use this Malvin's Orb right here. And there's 2 prefixes, and once again, suffixes can't be changed. It's going to remove one of the prefixes and elevate the other one, which means if you remove the, you're looking to elevate into cannot be affected by poison. if you want to go the self-poison route. And then if you don't get it, it's deleted, right? So you only have like the one, which means you need to aug chows again to get both of them, because it doesn't matter if one is elevated, it's still 50-50, and you keep 50-50ing until you get the unaffected by poison. Then after that, you can take off the suffixes can't be changed. You can aug life, you can aug whatever else, or aug speed, right, for the movement speed, because it's only speed prefix. And then you can add remove speed until 35, which I'm still trying to do. I don't have that yet. And then you can remove aug life until tier 1, which I finally got today after about 5 or 6 add remove lives. Okay. Time consuming, yes. Expensive, yes, if you're buying the things from TFT and not farming the harvest yourself, but deterministic and really, really easy to get once you kind of figure out how this is crafted. Now, crafting is kind of like complicated, right? I get that, but there's guides online where really all you got to research is like how to use a Malvin's Orb, because if you played Harvest, it's exactly the same as Harvest after you hit the Malvin's Orbs. Okay, the rings I already talked about. These are just like rings that cause the entire build to work, and why the Herald of Thunder is so strong, along with the Calamitous Visions, small unique cluster jewel. Let me put this back in. Now the chest is actually, let's go with the easiest stuff. The header, right, just to make yourself faster and stronger. Really a fun item here for what we're using this build for. Now the chest is also the same as Harvest. This one's actually perfect in almost every way besides being double corrupted, I guess, right? So this one, you're gonna buy a 6 white socket, 6 linked regalia, or maybe an astral plate if you like astral plates. And then you're gonna first elevate the fizz. So if you don't know how that works on a chest, on regalias, you're gonna get the reflect fizz, and first you have that Crusader influence, and you're gonna get the fizz taken as extra lightning damage, or sorry, physical damage percentage taken as lightning damage. Once you have these two, you have two options, right? The more expensive option and the more dumb option is just to have an open prefix. You aug a fizz, and then you are guaranteed that is the explodey. If you have a regalia, though, the better and way cheaper and more common way, even if you're solo self-found, is to go non-fizz to fizz, because what it'll do, since there's only one more fizz affix prefix, which is the fizz explodey, which you're going for, it will actually remove any of the other non-fizz mods into that explodey. You don't even need a prefix open, because it has to. Okay, this is like kind of like weird, like your brain is kind of like stressed thinking about this if you're first time, but if it can give you the thing, it has to remove the thing that opens up the slot to give you the thing, right? It's like deterministic in that way. So then you go non-fizz to fizz, and you'll be guaranteed 3% explodey. Then you have 2 Crusaders, right? You have the fizz taken as lightning damage is a Crusaders. The 3% explodey is a Crusaders. You will Malvin Orbs, and if you succeed, the 3% is now 5% and 12 AoE, which is usually 1 radius. From here, you are going to do the same thing. You're going to Malvin's Orb whatever suffix elevation you want. I wanted Frenzy Charge on hit because of the Badge of the Brotherhood, and I also wanted the elevated one of that because it has movement speed. Every tiny bit of movement speed feels pretty good on this build. Once you get that both elevated, you awaken them together, right? Put the your chest is the one you don't want to delete, so put the suffix, right? Awaken the suffix onto the prefix explodey, and then now you go from there. Same rules as the gloves and boots. You don't want any bricked mods like mana, mana percentages, intelligence, whatever, things that are untagged. And if you get that, you are going to be good to go. You are going to guarantee, without any bricked mods, a chest like this eventually. There's no way you can mess it up. And it is full deterministic, right? Pretty awesome stuff going on right there. For the other items, the necklace, I'm using a Badge of the Brotherhood because that is very speedy, and elusive is such an awesome buff to play with. It's both defensive and offensive and speedy, so this is about 20 exalts right now, but it is I wouldn't play without this because it just feels so good on assassin, and with elusive effect from so many different sources. You can even add more if you want to add like withering step and stuff, but it is just good. Okay, so I wouldn't play without this. And then you have the helmet. So helmet is crafted. Now the Stormbrand penetration is just like a single target option. You can use Herald of Thunder damage. You can use Herald of Thunder reservation, which is really good starting out. How do you craft this helmet? Well, same thing. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a alterations. I think are like 200 or something for the power charge. But you're going to want to go ahead and get a power charge based on one end. You don't actually need to elevate this, okay? If you look here, mine's elevated. You don't have to. That elevated mod is trash. It does nothing for an assassin, but it's just like for flex points, I guess, that you have the elevated mod, right? It is not worth gambling if you don't have to. But just get a power charge on one end. Elevate the Shaper mod, because nearby enemies take increased elemental damage is better than nearby enemies have -12 resist. Okay, why is that? Well, when you're using curses, and let's say I have 0, let's say I have 0 resist, and somehow you get me down to a -100 resist, right? So when you have a helmet that says -12, which is the elevated like lightning, cold, whatever you want, then I go down to 112. Well, I don't actually take 112 extra damage, right? I take 12 divided by 200, which is 6 divided by 100, which is 3 divided by 50, 6%, right? That's like 6% damage. But if you don't have other sources of more damage taken, which a lot of people don't, because they're like kind of putting the build piece by piece, and they might not get these like gloves or like the cinder swallow. They might not have fire damage. They might not have they might not have bottle of faith. When you have a true damage taken thing, I think that's always going to be better, right? Like what if this flask is out? What if this fire thing, you don't have any flash charges and you don't have any fire damage on your skills, right? So I just like taken more than the -12. But if you want to go -12, that's totally fine too. If POB tells you that -12 is better, go with that. That's up to you. So once again, same thing. You're going to awaken it onto the good base with the enchant and everything. And you are going to end up with hopefully no brick mods, right? So I was doing power charge and I awakened a shaper helmet on another garbage shaper helmet, put the shaper helmet on, and then I basically harvest crafted until I got life, and the energy shield is a defensives, right? That 100% ES, I just kept it because it was tier 1. It was really nice. But you could go with like hybrid defense or hybrid ES life. You can go with maybe like something else on the proof. It's totally up to you. And then the suffixes are fully deterministic as well, because Aspect of the Spoder, you just buy a Venomous, you put it on for free. You can't remove it afterwards though, because it's super hard to remove unless you want to do some weird like prefixes can't be changed, and then you want to go like non-influence to influence. But like it's like make sure you're sure about Aspect of the Spider before you put it on. So with that, the third suffix is crafted 25% avoidance of elements, because 25 plus 25 plus 50 from the boots is 100%. So you don't need any flask for heat, ignite, shock, any of that stuff. Okay, super cool. And then what you're looking at from here is you're just gonna try to make those things like min-max, like this one is, okay, with the randomizes. The staff, this is a staff that's pretty good. This is the exact same staff that someone crafted. I think Path of Math crafted one of these as well in Harvest League. And it is just like the Zeus staff, right? Look how good this is for crit-based lightning builds, I guess. Pretty crazy, right? Jesus Christ. And so the guy's name, I think he plays on a character named FBI underscore something. You can look on the forums to find him. He's pretty good with like the mirror feed and everything like that. Very safe. I trust the guy. If you guys want to go check that staff out, super good. Not just for this build, but like for any lightning build. Look at that thing. So yeah, the staff is pretty damn good. And yeah, it adds a lot of damage, okay? How do you craft the staff? Just mirror it, okay? You're not going to craft a staff like this. You're probably going to get the staff scammed before you finish it, and that is why he doesn't have 6 white sockets, because to buy the random one to white, right? Initially, it's a 1/2 chance, then it's a 1/3 chance, then it's 1 in 6 chance, and by that time, you're handing the staff over to so many people that it might get scammed. So that's why it's not 3 white, in case you were wondering. And that's about it, right? Offhands, I just leveled gems with a 6 white this, and I Varici socketed the Maloney's with 3 white. Just leveled gems in there. And that is pretty much the build. We're gonna go over the gems now. Okay, so why do I use this? Cast one damage taken. I use it for Fist of Lightning on walk, because it's only half converted. So this the only reason I use Fizz to Lightning, and you can use a level 1/0 one of these, because it automatically gives you 50% conversion, is because it makes this full elemental. And when Wave of Conviction is full elemental, I don't need to search for of physical or reflect, right? I can run all those Fizz reflect maps, doesn't matter. And that's quality of life that I'm willing to sacrifice a gem slot. You actually have some gem socket pressure here, because there's a lot of options that you might want extra gem sockets for. Anomalous Arch, you don't need this at all. You can put in anything else you want. You can put in Ink AoE for the Wave of Conviction. You can put in, you can put in like some defensive skills, Withering Set, whatever you want. The reason I use this is because, number one, it looks cool. It's got Celestial Arch, cast on damage taken, and also it's got a chance of shock, and that paired with like our crit chance and everything makes it like a little bit reliable, especially with the chaining range. So when you get hit, right, it goes top left to top right. So like these two will go off, but the arch goes off first, and it chains to like, let's say you kill the first pack, but another pack is further away. I found that having the arch and the wave of conviction, just that slight bit of more shock, more enemies shocked by the kills or killed while shocked means that more uptime on Herald of Thunder. But really, you could take this out and pretty much have no difference, right? I also test out Ink AoE. This wave of conviction is it's a little bit slow, right? It's a little bit slow in going out. So I wanted that instant like kind of activation. And if you've ever been in once again an immunity pack, you know, this chaining around and stuff versus like the slowness of this could actually save your life with that ignite if you're trying to run away. So that's what I put there. The main skills: Herald of Thunder, Awaken added lightning damage, gives a skill point 2. Power charge on crit's pretty good. Ink AoE here, but once again, you can put in Ink lightning penetration if you want more damage. And I have Awaken ally focus because this can't shack anyways. And then energy leech so that I can take up my my ES while leeching for my boots and Doriani's lesson. The staff is kind of the same thing except for Stormbrand. So Stormbrand, energy leech. Now this one right here, Swiftbrand makes it so you have to cast more if you can't kill something in about a couple seconds, I think. This is attached, max duration is 2.28 seconds. Yeah, so this is like massive damage. I forgot about this. The only reason I remembered about the support gem is because I was trying to control F alt qualities for Stormbrand for this skill. I was like, is there anything else cool? And then it, like, when I was control Fing, I hit enter and went to this one. I was like, what is this? And yeah, just by accident, I looked at this and I didn't know. Yeah, playing the game 8 years, by the way, didn't know this existed. So I put it in, a ton of damage, amazing. We can add lightning damage, +1 levels, and massive lightning damage. Control destruction, conk effect, right? Conk effect doesn't matter because it's way, way, way higher, more multiplier than other things. And this one, if you're wondering about the reduced crit chance, doesn't matter because on a crit, it's on a crit, it's not 100% less, it's reduced, right? So the base crit of Stormbrand is 6%. So this is just -6 to the total amount of your crit. And then from here, we have Orb of Storms. I have a Awaken Hex Touch. Now, if you get your Hex Touch leveled up, what it means is you get 2 curses for free, right? You don't have to be an Aki with +1. You don't have to take Whispers of Doom to get an extra curse. You don't need an extra curse on your chest or anything. It just always applies as long as the curse is coming from Orb of Storms. So that means that you're looking at a 4-link here, right? 2 curses, Hex Touch, Orb of Storms. Orb of Storms doesn't need to be leveled up or anything. It doesn't really do that much damage. Righteous Fire here for a big burst for Conquerors and map bosses if you need it. Metamorph maybe. Arcane Surge, because when I dash, I always proc my Arcane Surge. What you definitely want to do is always do this. Look at the mana cost of the thing that's associated with Arcane Surge, and if it's a quick one, you need to make sure that mana cost lines so that one press activates it, right? You see the Arcane Surge up there? That is a one press every single time to refresh it. I think there's an Arcane Surge that like changes its duration with all quality. Maybe I'll look into that or something. But that's with my dash. So as long as this 26 aligns with the Arcane Surge, right? That Arcane Surge is 22. I could level it one more time, I think, to make. I'm fairly certain Arcane Surge level 6 is 26 mana spent. So I have 26 mana here. Great. I can probably level it one more time if I wanted to, right? But I'm not gonna do that just because it doesn't really matter if I get 1% more of something. And then Second Wind just makes it so that I can dash twice, okay? There's also another one that makes you dash like 3 times. You have 3 sword charges. If you don't want this Righteous Fire, you're only doing maps and you don't find yourself in boss killing scenarios, you can take this out. You can put a Withering Step here and assign a Withering Step to refresh your elusive. And although Second Wind doesn't work with it for 2 charges, Second Wind's cooldown recovery rate will absolutely work for the Withering Step cooldown recovery. But this is the sub that I've really liked. Be careful with this Righteous Fire, okay? Because it is kind of scary sometimes. If you ever start using it, you'll know what I mean on this build. So only use it for like situations where you think you need it, or situations where you know you're completely safe, because it does take out some of your ES. And other than that, that is about it for the build. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Try it out. Don't do it on a budget, but it is you know, if you're ever thinking about, you know, you're tired of like Delhi, you just want to focus one thing, get it done really fast in a safe way, and relax. This is a good build for it, right? Very, very specialized, but I've had a ton of fun. I've died a few times, but I'm still level 99, about to hit level 100, as you can see right here from my XP bar. So no problems there. And yeah, there's also other versions with elementals. I think I saw like YouTube recommend me this is Badger video. It looked pretty good for a budget version on an Elementals. A lot of people are actually going Elementals. I haven't looked into Elements that much because when they change the Ascensies like this, you have to play through those builds and those Ascensies to level 100 to really get that feel for those builds. And I don't want to like talk out my ass on something I haven't played a lot, right? So I've heard Elemental is extremely good for this kind of thing, but the items and like, you know, skill trees and everything might be changed. So look into those, and yeah, I hope you try it out. If you guys have any questions, I stream every day on Twitch at twitch.tv/q_. You can ask me any questions there, and once again, POB will be in the description of the current version. Feel free to change anything around that you want, and I'll see you guys. Okay, thanks for watching my video, guys. Love you guys. Bye. Thanks for watching my video. Bye.